Good afternoon. Sorry we're starting a little late, but we're ready to get this party going. I am Troy Powell. I'm the city manager for the City of the Colony here. And more important than that, it is my honor to be here today to serve as the Master of Ceremonies for this wonderful, wonderful event that I look forward to every year. Veterans Day is set aside to honor all of the men and women, many of who gave the ultimate sacrifice so that we can enjoy the life that we live today and do the things that we do today. And it is a great honor to be here this morning for just a short amount of time to honor and recognize those wonderful, wonderful people and the sacrifices that they made. Growing up in a military family, my father was in the Air Force, career Air Force. He's here today, the best man I've ever met in my life. And I saw the struggles and all the challenges that come with being in the military, trying to raise a family and doing the things that those folks have to do. And to this day, I'm so deeply indebted to my father, not only for the sacrifice he made to this country, but for the sacrifice he made to me and to all of us here to protect and to serve with honor. And it's my privilege to be here today, to thank all of you. And I see many of you in this crowd. I'm going to recognize you here in a little while. But as someone who didn't serve in the military, it is such an honor to be here today to say thank you personally for me and for my family. Today's program is presented by the American Legion family, which we have a big one here in the colony, which is such a great thing, which include the American Legion Holly Riddle Post 21, with I'm sure most of you are familiar with, the Sons of the American Legion, Squadron 21, and our American Legion riders who came in here just before we started Chapter 21. We have a lot of people here today that I want to introduce. I'm going to make sure I don't mess this up. We have Lee Lanham over here, which is going to be our, he's the chaplain of the Holly Riddle Post 21. We have Gary Hunt, the commander of the American Legion, Holly Riddle Post. We have our special guest speaker, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with, Pat Fallon. Good to see him here today. We have Ray Reynolds, the commander for the Sons of the American Legion. Brent Wilkerson, director for Post 21 Riders. We have Alexa Smith, who's going to do some singing for us today, a freshman at the Colony High School. So she's going to do this for the next 4 years. And then we have the mayor, Honorable Mayor Joe McCourry, here today with us. So before we get started, let's use this time and give a prayer and say thanks to God for all that we have here today. And
gentlemen, please remove your headgear. O God, eternal Father, and everlasting King of heaven and earth, we render you acknowledgement, your supreme dominion over us, and gratitude for your paternal solitude and watchfulness. As we gather here in humble recognition of your divine providence, we beseech you to usher into our world of confusion and doubt the peace and tranquility which alone can come from you. Bless and protect our nation. Be merciful to our honored dead, the memory of whose valor, courage, and heroism inspires us to noble action and to eternal vigilance in the preservation of our priceless liberty and of our inalienable rights to enduring happiness. Guide and direct our minds to a thorough understanding of our duties to you, to our country, and to one another. Awaken in our hearts the desire and the will to accomplish the ideals for which this nation exists, so that out of our determination and endeavor there may emerge a better world, a world founded upon faith and understanding, a world dedicated to preserving the individual rights and dignity of man, a world of tolerance and justice, a world intent on loving and serving you, our Lord and Master. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I don't know who's next.
Please join us for the national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
That was beautiful. Thank you, Alexa. That was awesome. That kind of sets the whole tone for the day, doesn't it? We're going to get right down to business this morning. Also, I want to recognize Patrick Johnson here, who played the bugle for us. Played To the Colors is what it's called. He is a member of the Post 21 Color Guard, so thank you very much. We're honored today, and this is a personal friend of mine that I've known for quite some time. I'm not going to read his whole bio because it'd take us a long time. This guy's done a lot of stuff in his life. But currently is our elected legislature to the House of Representatives, District 106, and he is a Air Force veteran. Went to school at Notre Dame, but we won't hold that against him. And was a member of the 1988 National Championship team. So it is my honor to introduce today a friend of the colony, a friend of mine personally, and a friend of everyone in District 106, Pat Fallon.
Thank you all for having me today. I was looking forward to this all week, and I got here just a tad behind schedule. My two boys, my wife had to get her hair done this morning, and this wasn't going to move it, and so I had to wait for the babysitter to come. And my boys are 10 and 7, and I was waiting for the babysitter to come over, and she comes over, and her name is Victoria, beautiful gal, a high school gal, and my 7-year-old is rather fond of her. And as she showed up, you know, ding, ding, the doorbell rings, and my 7-year-old rushes to the door like a true gentleman to meet the gal. And he says, "Hi, Victoria, how are you?" And he ushers her in, and they sit down, and he looks at her very provocatively, and he says, "Victoria, you want a color?" And then she went along with it, and she said, "Oh, I'd love to color." So they're coloring, I'm getting ready, and I come out. Now, his name is Mac, M-A-C. And he says, I catch him saying to her, "You know, Victoria, sometimes I spell Mac with a K." And that's why I'm late. And I'm also going to have to leave early, unfortunately, because both of those young men are in their playoffs for flag football. And they're both undefeated. They're a lot better than Dad was, so thankfully we're good there. But, you know, on these occasions, we've been to so many of these, and we honor those that have served. We do it on Memorial Day a lot of the times, and of course we do it on Veterans Day. And you all could be anywhere, and you chose to be here, and I thank you for that. But I really thought about it a little bit, and are you a good Christian if you just go to church and honor Jesus on Easter and Christmas? Being Catholic, I see a lot of people in church on Christmas and Easter, not so much every other Sunday. Are you a good Jew if you only seek atonement on Yom Kippur? And are you a good American if you only remember veterans at the end of May and on November 11th? I mean, we need to do that every day. And it struck me that my family, when my grandfather passed away in 1995, he was followed soon thereafter, a year later, by my grandmother in 1996. And most of us have gone through this, where you see your parents closing a chapter in their life. And my father and his brothers had to clean out and rummage through their parents' things. The house that they all grew up in as boys. And you start these piles. You have the pile you're going to throw out, the pile you're going to give away, and the pile you're going to keep. And they were quite large. And it's a sad process. But sometimes there's some laughs too. And I can't explain why, but what drew me to the pile that was going to be thrown out, and something told me I should go there and look through it. And I rummaged through it, and as you may expect, most of it was trash. But not all of it. Someone had mistakenly put a treasure trove of family photos in the garbage pile. Beautiful black and white photos from the early part of the 20th century, all the way through my grandparents' life through the mid-90s. And we rummaged through them and we laughed. And one of the photos was a picture of a strikingly handsome young man in an Army Air Corps uniform. And I didn't know who this was. I'd never seen him before. And I asked my father, I said, "Dad, who's this?" And he said, "Oh, that's Jim Gallagher. That's your cousin." I said, "Why haven't I ever met him?" He said, "Well, he passed away in the war. He was a bomber crew member on a B-29 in World War II. It got shot down. He died. And because Jim was only 20 years old, he had never gotten married. He didn't have kids. And fast forward 50 years later, he was almost forgotten. And I suspect that most people here have someone in your family tree, if you climb enough branches, you have a Jim Gallagher. And I just swore then, 20 years ago, that I don't ever want to forget Jim. So it's very poignant for me on days like this, when I get to speak in front of a few hundred great Americans that remember those that have served, to tell you and say the name Jim Gallagher. He shouldn't be forgotten. And I have to share this with you, that there was something that was very moving once. I was with a bunch of macho 20-something guys, and we were having a party, and right thereafter, a lot of them slept over my house that night. And the next morning, we got up, and I was making breakfast. And this is the day before DVDs, so we all had the VHS tapes. And they said, "Oh, let's watch a movie." Well, I didn't have any. I had just moved into this house. But I had this set of World War II Medal of Honor recipient cassette tapes, VHS tapes. So we popped one of them in. A bunch of too cool for school, 20-something, on the make Dallas guys are watching these amazing stories. And one in particular stood out. It was about a fellow named Henry Eugene Irwin, and known to his friends as Red. And he was on a bomber crew over Japan in 1945, and they were dropping white phosphorus bombs. Well, unfortunately, one of those bombs prematurely ignited. Now, the outcome of that is going to be, the plane's probably going to crash, because a phosphorus bomb like that is sheer fire. It's going to melt through the plane itself and probably going to blow it all up. They're all going to die. And when that happens, when it ignites, what is your instinct as a human being? To get away from the flame. And everyone did that, except for Red. Red fought through all of that instinct and rushed toward it. He picked it up. It melted his hand off as it was picking it up, and he rushed to the window to throw it out of the aircraft. While he did that, it blinded him. It shot phosphorus debris into his chest and lungs, but he got it out of the plane and saved every member of his crew. And they looked down at him as he collapsed, and they figured Red was dead. They landed back at their base, and by some miracle, he didn't die. And by an extra miracle of God, 3 weeks later, he regained his sight. And he eventually fully recovered. And they awarded him the Medal of Honor for that. And I'm watching this, and I'm getting teary-eyed. And I didn't want my friends to see me choked up like this and tears rolling down my cheeks. So you know how guys do it, like, like you had a cough or something. And I look over, and the 6 fellas with me are all in tears. And this one big giant guy, we call Wally, he had a real long Polish name, I can't even pronounce it, about 280 pounds, was babbling with the chin like that. But that moment really brought us together, and we realized the majesty that is this country. Now, is America perfect? No. And you'll see plenty of politicians on a certain side of the aisle pointing it out every time we stumble or fall. How America's just not what you think it is. We don't live up to our ideals. There's not a nation on this earth that has ever been perfect, nor will they ever be. But in that, that quest and search for perfection, we do reach and grab excellence. Because I don't know any country known to history that's greater than ours. And you all won the lottery. You know, I see the billboards, $90 million, $5 million. You start calculating. I always calculate the taxes coming out and then what you can actually keep. You keep about 30%. All right, 90, 30 million. I can get by with 30 million. But everybody here's won the lottery. There are 7 billion people on this planet. 300 million of them can call themselves Americans. Couple of percentage points. 1 out of 50. Get a deck of cards when you go home. Try to randomly pick out the 7 of diamonds. Probably not going to happen. But you did. God granted you that you're here. And the other majesty about this country, look about you. If I told you that, hey, you know what, I just met a fella from Bonn, Germany, you would have a mental image of what he looks like. I said, yeah, I met this gal. She grew up in Shanghai. You'd also be able to picture what she looks like. But when I tell you I just met an American, you have absolutely no idea what they look like. Because we're not an ethnicity. We're an ideal. And we've come from all across the globe to form a country of excellence. And the one guarantor of this excellence, it's not just our military. It's also those that wear the uniform here at home, the colony's finest, the colony's bravest. And you can serve your country by serving your community. Joe McCourry served his country as a Marine, but he's now also serving his country as your mayor. And I'm sure, if you're here today on a Saturday morning at 11 o'clock, most of the people here are volunteers in some capacity. David Terry serving his country on the city council. So many folks that serve on boards, that sing in your church choir, that really believe that there are things in this world that are greater than us. Our country is greater. God is greater. Our friends are greater. Our family are greater. That's how you can serve your country. And I just so much appreciate you all giving me the chance to share these thoughts with you today. I wrote a bunch of notes of the speech. I didn't even look at it. But it's good to have the crutch just in case you forget, right? But I want to thank you so much. And today, I'm going to be able to watch 4 flag football games of 7 and 10-year-old boys. And the little cheerleaders that come out, the little 7-year-old girls at halftime, it's hysterical, with their megaphones. And that's the majesty of America. We have the freedom to choose what to do, and these kids are our future. And those kids that are serving now in the military, despite what Michael Moore says, are our nation's finest as well. And I've had my job affords me the opportunity to interact with a lot of them, particularly in the Army and the Air Force. And they are. And we got to work really hard toward, you know what my main job is down in Austin? Is, well, number one, to get home as fast as possible, because I hate Austin. But to ensure that our best days have yet to be counted. Let's hope that 200 years from now, people are standing here and talking about how in the 21st century, Americans really set up a plan, an avenue, and a path for more prosperity. So again, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you, the Colony's finest, for what you do. You go underappreciated so often, and blue lives do matter. God bless y'all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Pat, for those wonderful words, and also thank you for your support for the state of Texas. Next, I'm going to bring up the mayor, Joe McCourry, and the Post 21 commander, Gary Hunt, to do a proclamation. But before I do that, I wanted to recognize our mayor, Joe McCourry. I've been in the Colony almost 7 years now, and many of you know as a city manager, it's kind of a traveling profession. We are fired with enthusiasm a lot. And by far, of the 7 mayors that I've had the honor to work with, I've never worked with one as great and as honorable as Joe McCourry. He's not only a great mayor, he's a great person and a true patriot. I have learned greatly from Joe, and it is an honor for me to say that I serve under him and to bring him up today to present a proclamation from our great city.
Dang, he's going to make me cry. I am proud to be here today. You know, I've been up here many times in the past, and each one is better and better and more important. And as we see what's happening in our country today, you know, it is more and more important. And the values that we place out there, and the values that we can, you know, give to other people and guiding other people, you know, about our freedoms and why we're here and the things we do. You know, each one of us have that responsibility, you know, kind of as Pat said. And, you know, being here to celebrate our veterans, every one of them is dear to my heart. And I do have a proclamation that says, whereas Veterans Day affords all of our citizens a special opportunity to honor the deeds of those who sacrificed so much to answer the call to arms during the life of this great country. And whereas the city of the Colony and the citizens of our city are all very proud of the men and women who served during World War I, World War II, the Korean War, the Vietnam War, Desert Storm, Afghanistan, Iraq, and the many other conflicts around the world. And whereas during this period of remembering those who have served and those who are still serving, we are reminded of their self-sacrifice, heroism, and honor to defend our freedom of declaration, and we determine to face war on terrorism today. And whereas we pledge never to forget the lessons of those savage and costly conflicts, nor the members of our armed forces who risk their lives and sacrifices to their families to defend democracy, human dignity, and the right to live in a free country. Now, therefore, in recognition of our veterans, I, Joe McCourry, Mayor of the City of the Colony, Texas, hereby salute those brave men and women of the United States Armed Services and call upon our citizens to give special consideration on Veterans Day, November the 11th, 2016, to those who have died or who have been disabled in our nation's service, and to those who continue to serve and live in our community, signed this 5th day of November 2016. Gary, thank you and the American Legion, you know, for being leaders in this community and being here. You know, you guys serve our veterans. We have service, you know, officers, you know, that are here to take a call so that if you need help or your families need help, these guys are here to help you. So we owe them a debt of gratitude for being here and serving our community.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We appreciate you as well. And I want to thank everyone for being here today, and thank you for your service. And hope the rest of your day is very positive and enjoyable. Thank you very much for coming out.
Thank you, gentlemen. We are now going to pay tribute to each branch of our armed forces by presenting each branch's service flag. We would ask that members who are currently serving or who have served in the past in the specific branch as the flag comes in, we would like you to stand so we can recognize you for your service. We will start with the United States Army. If you served in the Army, please stand. The United States Marines. If you served in the U.S. Marines, please stand so we can recognize you. The United States Navy. If you serve the Navy, please stand so we can recognize you. The United States Air Force. If you served in the Air Force, please stand so we can recognize you. The United States Coast Guard. If you served in the U.S. Coast Guard, please stand so we can recognize you. And last but not least, the United States Merchant Marines. If you served as a U.S. Merchant Marine, please stand so we can recognize you. Everyone who stood during that, please stand again so we can recognize you for your service to our country. You know, all of these flags look great today in recognizing all these wonderful people that make our lives possible and everything that we do, but I'm always struck with awe when I look at just a simple piece of cloth with a pattern on it. But when you get into the symbolism of what each one of those means, how many lives were lost to protect those flags and to protect this great country and the life that we get to live because of it, I'm truly in awe. And I thank each and every one of you for what you have done. For myself and Post 21, we want to say thank you. We want to say welcome home for those who were able to make it back to be with us today. And we want to honor and recognize the commitment and the duty it takes to protect the things that we take for granted every day. I would ask that Alexa come back up and sing America the Beautiful for us.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea that sees beyond thy years. Thine alabaster cities gleam, undimmed by human tears. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
Was that good or what? That's what it's. Yeah, just go ahead and book your calendar for the next 4 years. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's already done. I was just told. So, wow, that is amazing. Beautiful. Thank you, Alexa. Thank you. As we wrap up the program today, I wanted to talk quickly about some of the festivities. We're going to have stuff going all day here in the colony. Obviously, you can see the carnival behind us, and obviously they're checking their microphones to make sure everything works. As tonight, we're going to have Tanya Tucker here doing a concert for the citizens. It's free to come. We also want to recognize that a member of the American Legion, Jeff Perkins, has made a Texas Fallen Soldiers Memorial wall that can be seen in the vendor area. Everybody should stop and take a look at that. It recognizes and honors all those Texas citizens that have given their life in service to this country. We also have a silent auction going on, and everybody should stop by and be generous. The two organizations that are benefiting this year from the proceeds from that silent auction are Operation Comfort Warriors, which is a program that helps meet the need of wounded warriors by providing the comfort items not usually provided by the government. And then we also have 22 Kill, which is a global movement that helps bridge the gap between veterans and civilians to build a community of support for those folks. You know, everybody needs to remember a veteran is someone who at one point wrote a check. And on that check, it was valued at a price up to and including their life. And that's a sacrifice not many of us would be willing to make. And we need to go every day, not just today, as Pat said, but every day, being thankful and remembering and honoring the memories of those folks who were willing to make that ultimate sacrifice so we can live the lives that we do today. I thank you for coming. The ceremony is now concluded, and I hope to see you throughout the day here, enjoying and remembering all these wonderful people. Thank you.